Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn the best use VRS.
Hello and welcome. It's that time of the weekend once again for the Weekend Warriors to roll into town here on Apex Racing TV. Tonight it's the double header from Laguna Seca. What's going to be by its official name? WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. I'm Tim Cox. We've got Tamuna Q in the virtual prediction trailer. Charles Bashal joins me very shortly after the usual championship standings update. And it's a crucial time for them in the penultimate round of this slightly shortened 10-round season due to the Christmas and New Year period. First off, let's head across into Sec 1 as, there we go. Wait for that to catch up with itself. My end, lovely, there we go. Jason Green, well, tied on points for first with one Christian Kabanka. But still within a shout is Aeronom, as he is only 8 points behind them. It could not be any tighter at the top of S1. Three drivers vying for the championship. Michael McConnell lies in fourth, but he's, well, could have drifted realistically out of the shout. Jeff Jacobson on for a really strong finish in fifth. Harris sixth, then it's Ball, Overstreet, Hendrickson, and Carvalho to round out the top 10. Let's cross into Spec 2 now, and Trenton Kramer, well, it's made real hay when the sun's been shining. No Chris Montgomery, missing a couple of rounds, and that's really sort of cemented things for him. But the ball finished last time out, man. That gap has been compressed a little, but Paul Stevens still got a little bit of potential to take that away from him. Tim Staino has moved up to third place, but he's realistically out of the championship contendings, 105 points behind Kramer. Chris Montgomery now dropping to fourth, one of the championship favourites alongside Kramer, and that realistically has now gone by the wayside. Jimmy Littbacker, the Swede, is in fifth, then it's David Payne, Lorio, Gard, Fernandez and Scott who ran out the top 10 there. Across into Masters, well, this has been oh so dominant by Jorg Marni, and it's already sewed up realistically, 701 points. Couldn't really have got too much more than that. Only missing up the race win at Belle Isle to make it to clean sweep so far. And of course went to one Antonio Race, who you can't find him until you look at the third, but only just behind Alan de Gassius, who lies in second. Gary Walbot, he's into fourth with Murakami fifth. Cathcart, he moves up to fifth after finishing second place last time out at New Hampshire. With Stevie Ray seventh, then Brewster, Bowes and Love to round out your top 10 there. But Charles Bashal, welcome along. It's a classic circuit for a classic series, really.
Yeah, Tim, it really is. It's you know, we're going to be on California time for the next 2 weeks with Laguna Seca this week and Sonoma next week. And yeah, it's just a circuit that really suits these cars. You know, great driving track. It's one of the ones that most iRacers are familiar with because it is one of the free tracks. So everybody gets lots and lots of practice here. But always tends to surprise with the level of competition. You know, speaking of the level of competition, this is my, I think, 4th or 5th season doing the Weekend Warriors, and I've never seen the championship for Spec 1 this close, this late in the season. So lots and lots of things to play for. Every point's going to count for the next 2 weeks. So it's going to be an amazing race to watch, and ready to just get stuck in and ready to go here.
Yeah, I think the closest we've ever had it, in my knowledge at least anyway, would be in the Formula Ford's best ever season of them, Jason Green, Megan Overstreet. That came down to the final race and, well, a run to the line in the final race to decide that one. Absolutely scintillating viewing that was. Well worth going back and having watched it. Even made the iRacing top 10 as well, and rightly so, fully justified. But qualifying ongoing in the background right now. We've got about 5.5 minutes left of that. Christian Kabanka, while just moving up into pole there. Aaron on joining him on the front row. Antonio Race, your top qualifier in Masters. He's second row on the grid with Jason Green, of course, one of the people in the shout of the championship. The gases. Marnie has been struggling a little bit. A couple of times deleted. That's why he's about half second off the pace right now. Tim Staino, he's on a flyer in Spec 2. 9th overall. That's 5th row of the grid. And well, only just ahead of Stevie Ray by a thousandth of a second. That's what we like to see. It's what we know and love, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, tight battles on in qualifying. Just shows the level of competition that we have week in and week out here. So yeah, it's going to be a great race. I'm looking forward to it. You know, obviously, the first lap or two is pretty tricky as everybody's kind of jockeying for position. Just hope we don't have any major calamities. But the track is wide enough to support some good side-by-side racing. Obviously, the draft is going to play a big part of this because there's a couple of really long straights. And, you know, precision driving is going to be very important with that run through the kink. You know, another kink. This is just as bad as the one at Road America. And then that run down the Rahal straight into the corkscrew, which is always treacherous, you know, every lap.
I mean, the corkscrew, arguably, the most iconic and most widely recognised corner in the whole of world motorsport, dare I say. I mean, it's struggled to think of one that competes with it. It just transcends motorsport, doesn't it?
It really does. I mean, you know, it's that we, you know, mentioned it, the 5-story drop, you know, so 50 feet of elevation change in a very short period of time. And basically you're doing a 50-foot drop in a chicane is in reality what you're trying to do. So obviously, you know, you're seeing here, we get the onboard, the drop down, it just crossing over. And that's where it trips a lot of people up is you saw when you're single car going through there, you can kind of cut that lane from apex to apex. But when you're side by side, you have to give that racing room, and that generally causes problems. So you know you need to be done with any kind of passing that you're going to get up through the run into the corkscrew, because otherwise it's just, you know, it's side by side, and then you're bringing all those cars behind you into play to make it that much more difficult going forward.
And of course, this is our last, weather unaffected season. Rain being announced, Formula Ford's being part of the package of cars that will get wet weather races as well. I mean, I'm already looking forward to next season, and we haven't even got this one done and dusted, as Tim Stainer now up into 8th overall. He's absolutely flying in Spec 2 qualifying, well ahead of Montgomery, who's 13th overall and second in class. But as I say, that Tries to claim Kramer. Casually just slaps one in there to go 100 faster than Staino and demote him down to 9th. And also down a row of the grid, down to the 5th row too. But we'll put Staino on that inside line into turn 1 proper.
Yeah, that was a good run by Staino there to get up into the top 10. You mentioned rain, and yeah, it's that's been the buzz, and it's been the talk for years because iRacing's took a long time to really develop that their weather system, but they did that with the the focus of getting it right, so that way when it's here, we don't have any kind of major glitches. But as I don't know about you, but as I'm sitting here, I'll come into practice early before the broadcast and just watch the drivers. And you can generally pick out the ones that have done some racing at that track during the week, versus the ones that's like, okay, I did not get a chance to race, so I've got to go in and do a little learning on Sunday in the practice session, and that's just another piece of that puzzle is getting that experience of driving in wet weather in these cars. So it's going to be another challenge for these drivers, and it's going to, I think it's going to separate the field just that much more. So obviously we've seen where Spec 2 guys can get in and challenge inside the top 10, sometimes inside the top 5, when they've really worked hard to improve their racecraft. But that's going to make that lack of experience that more obvious in some of these races when we get rain affected races. But it's another thing that's going to be interesting for the guys up here talking about it to watch and talk about more than the people who are actually on the track having to deal with it.
Into the closing stages now, drivers starting their laps before the checkered flag comes out, can complete their lap. Looking at the usual status quo, a little bit stagnant. Jason Green has moved up into 3rd. You mentioned about Spec 2. Staino's got back ahead of Trenton Kramer to move himself up into 8th and back onto the 4th row of the grid. Runs the line coming in. York Marnie late on, last lap lunge there to go 4th, displacing Antonio Racy, who'd held the top qualifying honours in Masters for most of the session. But Marnie making it count when he needs to. All it takes is one lap, doesn't it? And that's what he's managed to achieve, as there goes Kabanka across the line. I don't think there's going to be any improvement on that one. No, he goes about just over a 10th slower than his previous personal best of 1:29.9. And incidentally, the only driver to get into the 1:29.
Yeah, fantastic lap by Kabanka. I'm just looking up and down the board, top 15 drivers within a second of pole. So gaps are very, very small in amongst this. So it's going to be a fun race to watch. I just think that there's going to be, that battle between Green and Kabanka. Kabanka now has that edge of one row further up. So that's, I don't know that gets him any bonus points, but, all these points are going to come into play. So now it's settle in and try and get the best result possible. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a good race. I can just kind of feel it. It's going to be one of those where we're going to have some really good battles on track today.
Smiley giving us a nice little factoid as well, of course. Laguna Seca being one of the oldest tracks in iRacing as well, to boot. So better way to nearly round out the championship. Penultimate round as we're just coming round and completing their laps. And we just wait for the clock now to tick down so we can transition across into sessions. But it's time for a useless pun. Obviously with rain, he's trying to get a bit of an insulation lap. It's one on the board. For our current pollster, it's Christian Kabanka. Would that mean he's putting his Kabanka lap? Like it's Banka lap? No. Well, luckily the check flag is fully out. You can see Barney in the distance just waving it furiously there. So into the scenic camera now. We're just waiting. There we go. The flash, the change in lighting. That indicates we're moving across into the next session. Now take you through our grid. And we've got plenty of time to do so. We've got a full pace lap here today. treated by Stevie Ray. Thank you very much to him for that one. Makes our lives a little bit easier. And there he is. I mentioned about our pole sitter with a appalling pun on his name, Christian Kabanka in the 9 machine. He starts on pole here from Laguna Seca in the Formula Ford race. Aaron joins him on the front row. It's Jason Green. And so we've got our top 3 going for the championship in the top 3 positions on the grid. Yogradi, he'll love to be the perennial cat amongst the pitches. He starts 4th, top qualifier in Masters. But he does have 2 fellow Masters drivers behind him on row 3. The former Antonio Race and Alan DeGassius. Bobby West starts 7th with Tim Stado just nicking pole there for the top honours in Spec 2 to join West on row 4. Row 5, your top 10 ran out by Trenton Kramer and Jeff Jacobson. Stevie Ray, he starts alongside Michael McConnell on row 6. Well, row 7 is Chris Montgomery and Chris Murakami. They call Chris row. Both of those maybe a little bit disappointed by their qualifying. Nearly 9/10 off the pace net between the pair of them. Benjamin Harris and Pedro Carvalho start on row 8. Well, row 9 is Jim Brewster and Brad Cathcart. Of course, had podiums both in the Masters class last time out at the absolutely epic New Hampshire Roval. Need to go back there again. Gary Walbolt and Paul Stevens ran out your top 20 and row 10, while David Payne and Andrew Lever on row 11. Dana Bowes and Michael Nelson, row 12. While row 13, unlucky for some, let's hope not for the Spec 2 drivers of Jimmy Littbacker and Bill Walker. Greg Holland and Matt Zerbs not setting times. They are starting, well, if they choose to start the race on row 14 and row 15, the top 30 being Ford Tullow and Hank Melee. Although I can tell you that the last 3 of Zerbs, Tullow and Melee have not taken to the grid, so I don't think they're going to be joining us. So just the 27 cars here today. Just yeah.
Plenty of cars for plenty of action.
And there's the perennial weather update from Samuli. 88 degrees Fahrenheit in track temperature. What that's around about
30 somewhere around there. Yep.
Ish, yeah, right about that.
Yeah.
So it's that always makes it a little bit more interesting, doesn't it? 31. There you go. To be precise,
Yep.
You were closer than me. Because it's great for these cars. It's always a bit treacherous on cold tires. You're getting them warmed up. Hot track temperatures that negates some of that. However, what it doesn't help is the longevity of that heat management in those tires. Further as we get deeper and deeper into this race, certainly from about the 15-minute mark onwards.
Yeah, it does make things a little more difficult as far as tire management. Yeah, as you said, tires warm up a lot quicker, but it doesn't they don't last quite as long, and it also makes the track a little bit slipperier too. So that adds a little bit to it. This tarmac gets warm and it starts getting slick with the oils coming out of the tarmac, and so it's going to be another little factor involved in this.
Yes, indeed. Porsche 911 safety car just coming around the penultimate turn right now. Wish that to peel off into the pit lane. Driver's left, there it goes. The usual late lunge from the safety car. And Kabanka controls the pace. Let's get ready to go racing for the penultimate time this season in the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors, presented by Ray Esports. As they're the lights, as we are green and we are go, and there's a slow getaway from row 4 as they go 4 wide nearly there. They're going to make it a strong 3 wide as they crest the hill and head down into turn 1 proper. Everyone a little bit tentatively on the brakes at these early stages. Green slotting past Nom there, I can just see in the foreground. To get ahead, get into second, but not fights it back. Meanwhile, Trenton Kramer, he's had a fly. He's up 3 already. He's into 6th and into the lead of Spec 2. Stano up 1 himself as well, but it's that second row. DeGassius, he's dropped 3 because of it. That slow reaction to the lights has cost him dearly at these early stages, Charles.
Yeah, it sure did. Yeah, so great job by Kramer and Stano to move up, take advantage of the poor start by DeGassius, and looks like everybody got off clean. So that's a good start to the race.
long line streams its way
Ooh,
through.
a little wide.
Ooh, yeah, someone going slow there. Is that Montgomery, is it? No, it's Stevie
It's
Ray,
Stevie
in
Ray.
fact.
Yeah,
This is where it
a
gets
little wide.
tricky.
How they? Yeah, that's we talked about this at the beginning. Yep, single file through there. If they manage to get everything single file lined back up, it's very treacherous, and you kind of see that kink. How the how you can absolutely miss that apex, and the next thing you know, you're off in the dirt.
Let's get back out of the final turn on the first lap. He's going to lead over Aeronaut second, Jason Green in third, and Kabak already pulling out an 8-tenths advantage, nearly 9-tenths in fact over Nom. Marnie, he's top of Masters race, second in class. Degassis third. Spec 2, it's Kramer and Stano 6 and 7 respectively. But they stay, that's Kramer even. Looks like he's trying to make a bit of an attack. It's all spin in the background. That's Pedro Carvalho.
Yeah, didn't really catch that. Looked like there was a car that was really close to him as we saw him going off track. Don't know if there was contact or not, but I'm sure if Samuli will work diligently to get us a replay if there's something we need to see with that. And here we go now.
So it all looked good. They crested the hill. Jim Brewster just behind them, and just outbraked himself a little bit there.
He did. Yep, just kind of lost it there in the Andretti hairpin.
That's set him down to the penultimate spot in the field. As up the hill, they're having a right ding-dong here. Bobby West. Oh, that's contact, but they've got it. It goes from bad to worse, doesn't it, for him?
It really did.
Anyway, dropped 3 spots. He's now down 8. He's down into 14, and he's off the podium in Masters as well.
Yeah, that was tough luck, and it was just wheel-to-wheel contact side by side going into the corkscrew. And that'll probably won't be the last time we see that. Looks like everybody's being pretty racy today, so my guess is there'll be a little bit more of that before the race is over.
Training fast laps at the front, all into the high 130s, our top 3. Just on board with Degassis. So Bobby West sort of in the 89 machine to the right-hand side just in front of us, and sent it in a bit deep.
Yeah, he did. I think that might have been just him just a little too late on the brakes, and or at least the comparison to the two cars that were side by side in front of him. So yeah, that was just maybe a little mental mistake, but it looks like he's going to try and make up some of those spots now.
There you go. There's one. That's Ray. He's passed into 13th now for Degassis. And well, it's normally March that brings the madness, but Degassis getting started a week early here in the Weekend Warriors, although he's going to be in a bit of a threat here up the hill because Ray is hot on his tail. Got a big gap in front of them too. Montgomery is further up the road, but he's 1.7 seconds the advantage over these drivers right now. They're going to play it safe, or is it going to be a lunge on the brakes for Ray? He elects just to zip in, and he's a little bit deep in himself there. There's a few people with different braking spots, it seems to be.
Yeah, it looks that way, doesn't it? It's one of those that you have to account for when you're out there on the track with other cars. Is you kind of have to anticipate what the cars in front's going to do to make sure that you don't have any nose-to-tail contact and send either them or yourself spinning off the track.
And in terms of breakaway groups, it's our top 6 that have gotten away now from the rest of the field. 3 seconds the advantage they have over West, who's in 7th. He then leads a train that ends at Montgomery, who's in 12th. But then a subsequent train that starts obviously at the gases that we just see and ends at Paul Stevens. There is Aeronom, fastest lap last time around, Charles.
Yeah,
he's closing that gap.
He is trying to close that gap. He's taken a little bit of chances with those with the curbs on the inside. This one thing we haven't really talked about yet is we talked about the kink at Road America being really a one-lane groove through there. Very much the same thing here. There's a sausage curb on the inside as we see a car off. That looks like Stevie Ray. There's a sausage curb on the inside, so you need to hit the apex for that corner, but you don't need to take too much of the apex because
there's another car off that.
It's still another car
Harris?
off. Yeah, it is Harris. Because if you get it wrong either direction, if you're off the apex, you're going to be wide. If you're on the inside of the apex, you may be wrecked. So you just have to be careful, and there are sausage curbs littered across this track as we see another, like a self spin and maybe a sympathy spin on top of that.
Yeah, that was the Ray and Harris incident. Not making contact, but you said that sympathy spin. Oh, is that? Oh, I had a feeling for a minute that may well have been to gas. It's not, but it's two separate incidents again. Synchronicity definitely going to play. First one, David Payne we saw, and then Bill Walker at the bottom of the hill there. Meanwhile, back up towards the sharper end of things, Murakami under a bit of pressure now from West. And just want to work out who's that's Stano just in front of him in the 427, isn't it? Stano leads this group second in class. Murakami sitting comfortably right now. Doesn't need to do anything rash. Still on the podium in Masters. He's up 2 spots in class as well, so he's on a strong start, 5 overall, and he's actually our joint position climber alongside Andrew Love, Jimmy Littbacker and Michael Nelson. They're all at 5 as well. I'm Paul Stevens too, apologies. Quite a plethora of drivers at 5 spots.
Yep, there are indeed. Yeah, it seems like that maybe Stano may be the cork in the bottle. I don't know if there was anything. Oh, as we see another spin. That's Jacobson. Looked like they were too wide through the kink there, and that's never a good thing. It's just hard enough to get through there by yourself. So yeah, it's there's a bit of a gap between Kramer and Stano, 5-second gap that opened up pretty quickly. I'm not really sure if that was maybe a mistake on Stano's part, maybe check that section of the field up, or if it was to do with the DeGassis incident from earlier in the race. But that gap has opened up, and doesn't look like he's making a lot of progress towards tightening it back up.
Now that gap, if anything, has grown. It's up to nearly 5 seconds. I think it's around about the 4.5 second mark when we last look. And they said the catalyst for it. Oh, hello. It's car below and lit back at the other car involved. Both of them involved in earlier incidents, and for the Brazilian, it just seems to go from bad to worse for him. It's every other lap so far seems to be, unfortunately, could have been an incident, and all of his hard work, where he just made up progress, it's just all been undone in a flash, and he's back down to 26. That's Marnie. That's
Marnie. And that's the kink as well. No, that was that turn 5?
That's turn 5, Charles. That's towards the bottom of the hill, isn't it?
Yep. Let's see here. Just too much mustard through there, as one of my former partners used to say. That's a kind of a strange one. That's generally one that doesn't give a lot of people problems, but obviously just carry too much speed through there. Tried to catch the car and end up, with a little half spin, as we see another one lit back around as well.
It's the same sort of part of the track, isn't it? I do wonder, you spoke about those track temperatures making that a little bit more slippery out there today, and I do wonder whether that's just starting to come into play right now.
It definitely seems that way.
So Marnie has dropped off the back of that lead group. In fact, they've all sort of semi-dispersed a little bit. Our top 3, they're nose to doubt. They're, half a tenth separating all of them. It's Antonio Race. He's about a tenth and a half now behind. So a second and a half even behind our top 3. See how the field are all sort of grouped and bunched together in their respective little micro battles right now. Not the long train that we've seen so much this race, but the cliff over to 10 minutes complete out of the 40. It's a quarter race distance, and well, it seems like that our top 3 it shows how good they are in this respect, because they make it look so easy. But that's the sign that someone's so good at their, and so skilled at their job and what they're trying to do, because when you are so skilled, you do make it look effortless. You make it look so simple that, and then we try and replicate yourself. I don't get why I can't do this.
Yeah, I every time I'm with my team and I'm watching them race, that's exactly the way I feel about things. It's like, how come I can't? I do the same thing. I turn the wheel, I hit the brake, I hit the gas. I can't do what you do. So yeah, it is fun to watch these guys that are really, really skilled in a car. Really put it to the, take it to the limit and run. And these three right now have seemed to be setting themselves up for, obviously the top three in our Spec 1 battle. So they're setting themselves up for a fantastic end to this race. And we're just still only 11 minutes in.
Bobby West having a bit of a blink there. And that's always a little bit unsettling for the driver following behind. It's bad enough when you're the car in front because you're never 100% sure quite where they are. When you're the car following, that Michael McConnell is now in the 62, it's even more treacherous because you don't want them to suddenly appear and then all of a sudden you're right on their gearbox or even inside them. That's the scariest part of it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's anytime you get a little blink like that by one of the cars, it just you don't want to really do anything drastic because the sim, once it kind of restores them back and they get their connectivity back, where it's settled in, you just never can't tell what's going to end up happening, where you end up with what we call a netcode contact, where it's a phantom contact. But until the sim gets everybody registered back in the right spot, so you have to be very cautious when you start seeing cars blinking on track.
It's really interesting how things are so interspersed. Really, we normally see certain people in certain positions, but Spec 2. I tell you what, this season they've really closed the gap up. Kramer and Stano, 5th and 7th overall, respectively. And they're really starting to, hold a candle. Oh, there they go. It's open. The pit window is open, Charles, if you weren't sure about it.
Yep, that's it. So, Stevie's in the pit. So that means the pit window is now officially open. Anybody comes in from this point forward should be able to make it on fuel to the end of the race. You see Kramer off there. Yeah, a little bit wide.
Marnie now, that's brought Marnie right onto the back of it. It does mean that Kramer has dropped a few more attempts and now the draft range of Antonio Race, who lies in 4th. And well, this could help Marnie, couldn't it? Because it's got a drafting partner now. I know Laguna Seca, not the most draft heavier tracks, but you got a target, you got something to work with here. To try and work together to close that gap up, but at the moment, if anything, it's actually slightly growing. Let's say that, I think.
Yeah, maybe just Kramer looks like he's a little bit out of sync, just a little bit out of sync, and so he's not setting the fastest laps in the world. So Monty is, at least for now, content to just kind of ride behind. But I think this is if there's a place where you can get a good draft and pass, it will be the front straight, as we see Monty taking it to the inside.
Through turn 1, they go down to the Andretti hairpin. Marnie has the move done before they even arrive there. Kramer just keeping himself in the fight. He wants to win that Spec 2 championship. Doesn't want to throw things away right at the death. Doing so, keeping his chances alive. Keeping onto the back of Marnie, who maybe you can just hope can haul him up to the back of Antonio Race. And I tell you, I'd love to see a Spec 2 driver finish 4th here today. That would be absolutely stunning.
That would be great. Yeah, that would be great. Obviously, with Race and Monty up there, is going to be tough. As we see a car back, that's at Murakami. It is.
That could hand, and there he goes. Alan Degassius back, the 3rd place in class. After that earlier incident that he had, saw him drop through the order. He's now back up to 3rd in class. He's still down 4 places from where he started in 6th, but back inside the top 10, back onto the class podium. This is how it all unfolded from Murakami. West applying the pressure there, and maybe
this is very similar to what happened to Monty a few laps ago.
Maybe just a bit too much pressure applied to Murakami that it made him lose concentration, lose a bit of foresight. Doing so, lose that last place on the podium in Masters. Now back to Gassius, who's mentioned up to 10th. He's got Montgomery behind him, so we haven't mentioned really this evening. He's up 3 places overall. 3rd in class right now. There he goes. Couldn't even find himself inside the top 10 at the expense of Gassius. But these guys are about 4 odd seconds behind Kramer and Stain. Well, certainly behind Stano. 9 seconds behind Kramer, who are top 2 in Spec 2. So Montgomery getting a little bit of lady luck on his side. However, you never quite know, do you, with Laguna? As we've seen so far, realistically.
Yeah, we've seen several spins already as we see Kramer putting the pressure back on Monty, trying to doing a good job of just kind of hanging with him after that mistake the pass that Monty made up the front straight. And so Kramer's doing a good job as we're coming through the corkscrew here. See the elevation. That's one of the, it's one of the things that's so much fun about Laguna is the elevation changes on this track. So he's doing a really good job of just kind of hanging in there, keeping that gap back to Staino, still about 4.5 seconds. So I'm sure Staino will be doing everything he can to just try and set really, really good laps and see if he can close that gap back down to make that Spec 2 championship battle that much more exciting.
It's closing right off. But Green he's hanging on in there for dear life. They're going to come up in a bit of traffic. That's Pedro Carvalho just up ahead of them. And we saw Ray come in, Charles, and he's retired the car.
Oh, no.
That's your second retirement behind Greg Holland, the Canadian, in the 347. We lost him on lap 2. And yeah, that is a retirement for Ray.
I think that just means Stevie's already went and jumped in the Spec Racer section. So getting ready for the next race. Yeah, so, it's always fun to see Stevie on track, but I think sometimes Stevie he will just go out there and say, okay, I'm done. I'm not going to do anything in this race. Let me go get in the other car and get ready for the next one. So, but that's kind of one of the things that I love about this series is all these drivers, week in and week out, they're here. They're racing, and they're having a good time while they're out there doing it.
I think it's time to start talking about strategy, isn't it, realistically? Because what do you do as these top two? I mean, they've shaken off Green, who is now, about 1.5 seconds, nearly, 1.4 to be exact, behind them as well. Maybe not starting to come alive in the second half of the race. Having a bit of a look, starting to ask questions of Kabanka. Asking him just how strongly has he got a hold of this lead of the race here today. Murakami into pit road, he comes. As that's Western Stainer having a right old go at it. And tell you what, McConnell looking like he wants a piece of the action too.
Yeah, obviously McConnell's in that battle with West. So, if West is through to get past Staino for that position, McConnell will be wanting to do the same thing. Try and get by the Spec 2 driver and continue that Spec 1 battle with West. And so, I'm just kind of wondering, because we know how Green is about fuel saving. I wonder if he's just kind of maybe running to a fuel number during the opening part of this race. And if it costs him a second or two on track, he's okay with it as these guys are pushing. Because they're looking at their lap times, they're basically running quali pace at this point together. So it's as we see, who is that? The 9?
Let's race
around. Wow.
Oh no, and that's cost him the lead of Masters, which has gone back to Marnie.
See here coming into the corkscrew. Good entry line. I think maybe might have got hooked on the inside curb there at the first half of the corkscrew. Maybe kind of got the rear end a little light and just kind of lost it, looped it around, cost him some time, did not hit anything. So now he's got some work to do to try and make up that gap. It's now 4.5 seconds up to Monty.
Yeah, that curb just sort of chewing him up and spitting him out like a appalling piece of steak, and certainly not A5 Wagyu, that's for sure. And it's cost him that place, that lead and chance of victory here today. Realistically, it's also that time deficit that you lose. It's that more the killer. I mean, it's cost him about 5 seconds, no less. And he was about a good 1.5 seconds ahead of Marnie and Kramer.
Yeah, that's it. Is now he's got to run his best laps of the race after having that spin. Tires probably not real happy with them, overheated. So he's got to let those settle in and then just running hot laps, trying to make that time up, and maybe can make a gamble on pit entry or on the on the pit stop itself, maybe take a little less fuel and see if that can get him a couple seconds back on track.
As we are well into the second half of the race now, and yeah, we started talking about the strategy of the top two, and then it all started kicking off on track. I mean, just not peel off that little bit earlier and go it alone, or does he stick with the Kabanka and mirror him? Or, Kabanka, there's no fuel saving benefit from him. I mean, surely being out in front, he's got to run it as long and as deep as he possibly can to stand a chance here, because he knows whatever he does, Nom will more than likely do the opposite.
Yeah, I think that's right. I'm just kind of looking at, we've only had really one car to pit that what I would say took a reasonable amount of fuel, and that's Carvalho on lap 6, and he took 18 liters, or I'm sorry, 18 seconds. Sorry. But the pit lane time was a minute 1. So if Nom pits now, he comes out basically at the back of behind Murakami and P22. Thereabouts in that area. So he's going to come out in traffic, some sporadic traffic, but as we see Jacobson a little half spin again, just caught the car. Obviously did not like his entry in there. So yeah, I don't know that I would want to try the undercut here, especially coming back in with not really anybody you can kind of draft off of and leapfrog to make up time.
Well, you say that. I mean, Murakami isn't the worst person to have to deal with.
No,
the guy's
definitely
got
not.
Pace, you know.
Yeah.
Well, here we go. Montgomery's in. So this, I think, is going to give us a bit of a good indication here, Charles, as to how this could pan out potentially. As guess he should set the fastest lap of the race, interestingly. On your Marnie.
Marnie. Yeah. 130.06. That's a hot lap. It's about a tenth faster than the leader, but just a little bit faster than Nom in P2.
But he's catching Green in third. Green's sort of just dropped this last couple of laps. It's just fallen by the wayside. That gap up to now 2.2 seconds over Kabanka and Nom. Whereas, and I mean, last time around alone, so Green was 6/10 slower than than everyone realistically around him. So that is, it's not out of a shout here. There goes Montgomery, comes out in 20th, so it's behind 2 seconds just shy behind Harris. But sorry, go on.
No, I was gonna say it's about I saw the minute 1, but that's obviously because of the long pit entry and exits outside of the cone time, right, where you're actually trying to get back up to speed. So he dropped from, I believe he was in 11th, so he was right around somewhere between DeGassis and Brewster on track. So it's probably a 45 second loss on the track. So if Nom came out, he would come out around P18, P19. So once again, I don't know if that's the right call, but if anybody can make up time on track, it would be Aaron Nom. The guy's just blisteringly quick in these cars.
Sad thing is he'll probably tell us post-race,
yeah,
I've raced him before. Well, I know that's a lie. I know he has. So he can't pull that trick on us this evening. And he's got to grips with the car now as well. He's done enough of these races. To not use that as an excuse. But we have raw talent from that guy. Absolutely raw talent.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I think I once again going back to Green. I think I want to say he'll probably won't tell us this, but I want to say he's kind of just run into a fuel number. I think he may just say, okay, I can't keep up with these guys at least right now and still hit the fuel marker that I need to get to. So he's like, okay, we'll let him go. We'll run the pace. He's about, I don't know. He's last lap he was only a tenth off of Kabanka. I think I saw him where he was, a half second off or something like that for a lap. So maybe he had a little small issue, a little error that he had to make, or that he had. So I just think that he always does really well with the fuel strategies, and So maybe that's what he's trying to work today.
We're not too far from finding out, are we? You know, we're at
Nope.
26 minutes exactly now. And, well, not just saying fastest lap of the race. First person in racing to get into conditions to get into the 129s with a 29.97. Andrew Love heading to pit road. So now we're going to find out exactly. You know, people have got to start to show their cards a little bit more than what they have been doing previously. That gap of Marnie to Green closing once more again by a further half a second. Charles Marnie's he's throwing absolutely everything at this. You know, baby, bathwater, the whole shooting match, the kitchen sink.
That's it.
He's going for it.
Yeah, he really is. He's throwing every pun imaginable at this track, trying to get as much time as he can back up to that lead group.
Incidentally, as well, Charles, you know, he's only had in Formula 4 one time where he's finished on the podium overall. That was back at round 2 at Mosport. Although, of course, Mosport being week 4, but due to the Christmas and New Year break, it's actually round 2. Hence why it's only a 10-round championship this season rather than the usual 12. But yeah, that's the only time he's finished on the podium overall. Needs to say he did win that day as well. So maybe sensing, you know, it's been a little too long and needs to, you know, and that little run of not finishing on the podium overall. Whereas, you know, you look at the SRFs that we've got coming up later on, there's only twice he's not been on the podium overall when winning the race.
Yeah, it's just an amazing. I'll you know, it's we kind of made a joke about it last week, where it's my weekly conversation with Jorg post race in one of the 2 races. But he's just obviously just a great guy to talk to, and he's a fantastic racing driver on the sim. And so yeah, it's just if anybody can make up a gap, you know, it's going to be Jorg, because he just doesn't. He doesn't do fuel strategy. He just goes out and drives the car absolutely as hard as he can from start to finish.
So probably isn't driving quite as strong there. Trenton Kramer we just saw there, still holding on to that Spec 2 lead. Staino and Steven. Steven's up 10 spots now, although going to get adjusted a little bit. Here comes Kabanka, though, in from the lead. Lap 19, Green follows him as well in, and so does Marnie, interestingly.
That is a very interesting. We left Nom out there by himself. So now you got Kabanka and Green. Green usually really good about short fueling compared to the other guys up front. So maybe that we see Green and Kabanka come out together, and Monty will be shortly behind them.
West, Staino, DeGassius all in too. Kramer and Race carry on. Comes West and DeGassius into their pit boxes. There goes Kabanka and Green. So the gap was about 2.5 seconds between, really 3 in fact, between Nom and Green when they came out of the pits. Well, let the timing boards just update themselves a little bit as there goes Kabanka out of pit road. Back onto the accelerator, and to me, Charles, doesn't really look like he's managed to take any much time out of it. Nothing significant. About 2.9 seconds is the gap. I think we could discredit a win here today for Jason Green, bar drama and fireworks between Kabanka and Nom.
Yes, I think you may be right. Yeah, it was he made up a second on the pit cycle, but he was 3.5 seconds behind the leaders. So he did close it up a little bit, but as we see Nom coming into the pits now, but not enough.
Right, business time now. Find out who's gonna just put themselves in a great spot to win this race. Kramer and Race, they head into. Stevens yet to pit. Same with Brad Cathcart, who finished second last week in Masters at New Hampshire Roval. There goes Stevens, up 2 places in class, 14 overall at the moment, but like I said, it's going to get adjusted a little bit due to the pit cycles. Will he come in this time around? Yeah, he's popping in. There goes Marnie in the background. Nom is out of his box, I can tell you, though. And where is Kabanka? Where is Kabanka? There he is. Now, he's got further to travel, Charles, but he's got the momentum on his side, and he can carry a lot more speed off this corner. But I think it's not going to be anywhere near close enough.
No, because Nom's pit stop was about 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds shorter than Cabanca's. So he's actually extended that gap out now. So he's outrunning by himself. So the only thing that's going to get this group back together would be lap traffic and where they get caught. So we'll see what Nom can do with these cars as he's coming around the track.
I spent Walker just getting past him, the American in 24th. Next driver on the road is going to be Pedro Carvalho, who's back up to 23rd now. Cathcart coming out of the pits. Not quite his day compared to the high honours last week. Looks like he's going to finish around about 9th in class. Be disappointed by that one. There we go. Cabanca clears one car. We can see Carvalho just in the distance beyond Nom there.
Yeah, it's a nice job by Walker to get through the corkscrew and just get out of the way and allow Cabanca to come through without too much of a slowdown on Cabanca's part.
Just trying to see if any of the battles have really closed up. Nothing really too drastic really has happened during the pit stop cycle. I've spaced a few more people out, if anything, realistically, and it's about as exciting as it's got. Still battle, still looming large. West still hot on the heels of McConnell. This over 4th in Spec 1, 7th overall. McConnell up 5, 2 places in class. Bobby West having started 7th down to 8th overall and has subsequently dropped a place in class as well. Due to McConnell being ahead of him. Spec 2, that's Kramer, Stano and Montgomery still. They are 5th, 9th and 11th overall, respectively, for those drivers. Masters, Amali Race and Gassius. Those drivers 4th, 6th, 10th overall, respectively, for them. Biggest climber, that goes to Andrew Love. He's up 9 into 13th and up 4 positions in class as well. So the biggest climbing class. What have you spotted? No.
I just saw Love coming through there and catching that inside curb. Just kind of bouncing through the corner. So no, it was he managed to keep the car on the track, but it was just just a little bit offline, and it was a little exciting there for just a second.
Val's down once more. Paul Stevens hot on the heels of Love in the battle for 13th. Love hold on to this one. It's the killer point, or what Stevens got up his sleeve. Already opening up the corner there compared to Love, who took a much shallower entry into it. It's cost him a bit of speed, but luckily for him, you can defend it quite easily around there, can't you? To hold up and kill off that momentum that your opponent's got on you.
Yeah, you really can, and that's that's why it's so difficult to pass through there. If you're going in too wide, it's kind of tiptoeing through that through the corkscrew. And if you're behind somebody, then you just really have to be very aware of what they're doing and stay patient before you can try and attempt to make a move. And you usually just need to wait till after you're out of the corkscrew and coming into that left-hander downhill before you attempt anything.
Settling down now again as we approach 35 minutes. Well, I say that, there goes Cathcart. Lovely little move up the inside there of Harris. Up into 18th now, and back to where Cathcart started this race. 8th in class as well, although these three all different classes. Harris, of course, Spec 1. Payne, he's just behind Spec 2 as well. You wouldn't have got away with that one a few seasons ago, Benjamin Harris, getting that far in the dirt.
No, you would not. That's absolutely true. This may be the track where the off-track dynamics have really benefited the drivers more than anywhere, because there's nothing off track. Maybe this in Willow Springs, there's nothing off track but dirt. So generally before it would have just been you were on the fast lane to the wall, and now, you're pretty recoverable.
Yeah. Yeah, all looking good right now. Looking good. Looking calm. There's West behind McConnell. Still scrapping away over that. The only battle, incidentally, we've got plenty of battles, but the only one that's actually going to affect anyone's position in class.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. This is the only real in-class battle on the track, I think, right now. With Nelson and Cathcart will be the other one in 17th and 18th.
It is, isn't it? I think it is the only one we've got left now. It's a weird one, this, isn't it? It's normally we have so many more closer battles, but today it's just been so. Well, stagnant isn't the right word, because we've had plenty of battles. I mean, this is the most interesting one, but normally we're got a field absolutely littered with them.
Yeah, I think it just goes to show the level of competition is normally, you're right, is we'll have, all the Masters guys seemingly running about the same pace, and they're all kind of on the track together, and then all the Spec 2 guys, as we see,
that's a lunge on the brakes, and it's not going to quite pay off the pain. Did for Harris, though. And, I mean, we say that's a showcase. We spoke briefly about the off tracks, being able to get away with it, and whereas you wouldn't used to be able to. Cathcart coming through that turn there, he would have spat across the wall. It probably would have canned him back across, caused death for numerous drivers, but it does slow you up, and that's what allowed Harris just to get the run up the hill and the drag on Cathcart and allow Harris to get past him and up into 18th. But hey, just couldn't quite capitalise where it counted.
Yeah, it was a good battle though, but you're absolutely right. Is it's the plus is you don't die once you get off the track. The minus is you're still going to lose some spots, and you're going to just basically lose all your momentum on the track. And so, but everybody's doing a good job keeping off each other. I think most of the stuff we've seen today, I think we saw one where it was contact, but everybody else has just basically been solo mistakes where they've had self spins.
That's coming up a little bit later on the channel, around about just about an hour and a quarter's time. We'll be back from Laguna Seca for the SRFs. Big grids, even more action, excitement and drama. This one coming down to the wire, and well, it's not just the usual scrap over podium positions. It's all the way down the field. It's over 18th overall, no less. 3 cars, 3 different classes, going to work on one another. Though we're Payne just having a few attacks at Cathcart. Looking like, well, actually, that says, curse the commentator there. Well, that's well and truly broke up that one. I was saying Harris just escaping Cathcart. But that's definitely going to mean that Cathcart's going to have a much easier ride. As to what's going to be white flag, is Barney waving it? No, he's not. So then we're close to running out of time, because we're not. He's well over 3/4 of the way around the track, Charles. So this means he's going to take white flag now. Now, has he got enough fuel left in that tank?
I was just thinking the same thing, because his pit stop was significantly shorter than everybody else's. So I'm not sure if he got the if he got the calculation right. We'll know, because we'll start hearing him doing a little bit of lifting and coasting toward the end of this lap, and you'll see that gap behind to Cabanca tighten up drastically.
1.8 seconds, Charles. Now, it wasn't just over 2, wasn't it, after the pit stops? Down to 1.7. But is it too little, too late for Cabanca? That's, I think, the big question we need to be asking ourselves, maybe.
Yes, we'll know. It's going to be, Nom. Is he going to panic and really start lifting and give Cabanca a chance to catch up? Or does he feel like he's got enough? He's just got to do a couple of little lifts and coasts in a couple of spots, and he can finish it off. But the gap's still closing down with a half a lap to go.
Just look, it's 2 tenths more taken out of it. Nom's got plenty of chance to defend if he does need to, but he's got that long run to the line. Another attempt taken out of him by Kabanka. It's still 1.4 seconds though. It's down into the 1.3s. I think Nom could be okay unless he has a splutter and a cough to the line. Final corner. Checkered flag is out. Is it enough? He loses another couple of attempts, but he's got 1.2 seconds in the bag, and he surely can't lose this one. No, he's not going to. And Aeronom, the Estonian, wins, and with that, I think surely could well even potentially walk away with the championship lead, heading to Sonoma next week for the final round. Marnie wins in the Masters. Kramer's going to pick up the victory in Spec 2. I tell you what, that was close to the end between himself and Antonio Race. Only 3 attempts separating those two.
Yeah, it was a good battle to the line there, and a great run by Kramer. Finished top 5. Overall, that's a fantastic run by the Spec 2 driver.
Stevens coming under late pressure here from Jim Brewster. That's a bit of a lunge. Thinks twice about it. Backs out of it. Can he get him on the run to the line? Is he close enough? He's going to give it a good go here. Is he going to look left or right? No, he's not close enough. Stevens holds on to 14th over Brewster. Next battle we've got is Nelson versus Harris. You can see just in the foreground there, but that's not going to be close enough. Nelson's easily, comfortably going to hold on to a 17th place ahead of Benjamin Harris. Incidentally, both of those two finishing 7th in their respective classes, ahead of them. Bit of a dead car there from Harris. Sounded almost like he was chugging like it run out of fuel. Well, relatively drama-free, that one.
It was. It was.
Said that in a while.
It was drama-free from the fact that we didn't have a lot of big accidents, but it was, as we see, Kramer is out of fuel. But yeah, it was just a lot of little, individual mistakes. It really just kind of changed up the running order there during the race. So kept the battles interesting, and there was some nice multi-class battles all over the track.
Let's take you through, I believe that, everyone's crossed the line, so we can take you through some classified results here from Laguna Seca, round 9 of the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors, presented by Ray Esports. Aeronom with a victory over Kabanka and Green, second and third. Well, in the end, not true to totally telling Green, really, showing he's well off the pace there. Marnie, 4th overall, your winner in Masters, followed by your winner in Spec 2. That's friends of Kramer. And it's second in Masters race for Connell on West. Stano, second in Spec 2, with Degassis running up the top 10 and picking up that last Masters podium spot. In 11th, with the last of the podium finishes in Spec 2, in the form of Chris Montgomery. And then it was Murakami, Love, Stevens, Brewster, Jacobson, Nelson, Harris taking up to 18th place. 19th was Cathcart, I believe. Yes, he was. Payne running out the top 20 with Bowes and Walbolt. The last 2 drivers to finish on the lead lap. But Walker 1 lap down, so was Pedro Carvalho, who definitely had an eventful race. So did Jimmy Littbacker, taking up to 25th, then into retirement. Stevie Ray we lost on lap 8. Greg Holland on lap 2, with Tullo, Melee, and Zerbs not making the start. Let's have a quick chat to some of our drivers. Well, Charles, I think we're doing different this week. You can speak to York Marnie on winning Masters, because you've got to keep some consistency going here. But I'll leave you first. Yeah,
absolutely. Hey, York, congratulations on the Masters class win, P4 overall. We didn't have a lot of big wrecks today, but it looked like there was just a lot of people that were, making these little small errors during the course of the race. Saw you had an issue in turn 5, spun the car a little bit, had to make up some time, and then Antonio was nice enough to have a spin of his own a little bit later in the race. So was there something different about the track today that was causing some issues?
No, it's I actually like the track, but I'm just really rubbish in it. But it is how it is. I'm lucky that I survived. I survived my half spin I did. I was lucky that Antonio got a spin. Otherwise, Antonio would have won that championship race for the Masters. And I'm sorry for Antonio. He would have deserved it. But it gets worse in the Spec 4, I guess, for me. because I kind of do a lot of war mistakes in the spec for it. But let's see.
We're gonna add the nice drafting to go along with this, so that should keep things a little bit tighter during the course of the race.
Yeah, I guess so. But like I said, it's just me and the track. It's just not coping with each other. But it's fine. I just want to survive, and I hope I'm not crashing out anybody else than just myself. But let's see.
All right. Well, we'll see you in the next race. Thanks. Your congratulations.
Thanks a lot. Good. Till later.
All right. See you.
Let's have a chat with our race winner. Next up, it's Aero Nom. Aero, well, congratulations first and foremost. This week, a bit of a rarity for yourself. You know, you're starting to get to grips with the car, you know, really deep into the championship, and also a track that you know already. It's not a track you've just suddenly brought, you know, moments before the session. I mean, you must have felt relatively confident coming into this one.
Yeah, I was pretty confident, but I didn't get the fastest lap in the quali, so I was a little bit worried, but in the race I could see I'm a little bit faster. I was just able to chill behind Kabanka.
And you had by far and away the shortest pit stop of anyone. Were you having to conserve much fuel after the round of pit stops, or because you seem to lose a bit of time to Christian Kabanka on that final lap?
Yeah, I was a little bit too eager in the pit stop and stopped the fueling too early, so yeah, I had to save every lap a little bit, but yeah, it wasn't too hard.
Well, I mean, we've got one round left of the championship. You know, you're on course to try and win the championship. You know, Sonoma. How do you feel about that one? You know, it's a track you're a bit more confident with. It's not one that's largely run on the iRacing service.
It's a little bit driver's track and a little drafting track, so yeah, I think I like it. I should like it. It's slippery like this one, so yeah, let's see.
Definitely. Well, congratulations, your winner here today, Aero Nom. And Charles, that Trenton Kramer for you.
Yeah, Trenton, P5 overall, winning Spec 2, solidifying your championship lead. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You know, I was talking with Jorg a little earlier. Is like we had a lot of drivers that were just weren't any big wrecks, just a lot of little mistakes here and there. How did you find the track today?
Well, I got a really good jump off the start. I ended up getting a couple of positions right up against the wall going into turn 1, and it seemed like the drivers behind me were a little busy fighting amongst themselves, whilst the leaders wanted to just stay in single file and try and hold on to Arrow, and I believe there was somebody else that was leading at the start of the race, and we just continuously trying to stay on the track, not get too many incidents, and follow people through. And like you mentioned, we were racing for the end of the season right now for the championship points, so I'm trying not to take anybody out in the process and just hanging out with them, trying to save some fuel, and it worked out for me pretty well, I'd say.
Yeah. So last race coming up next week at Sonoma. I think you were in the racing for the normal Ray Esports series on Tuesday night, and which was at Sonoma a couple weeks ago. Is that right?
I wasn't there. I've been taking this season off from the Ray Esports.
Okay.
We've got a lot of stuff going on with the our previous sponsor, Grass Paddock Motorsports. I work for them, so I've been doing a lot of stuff, taking care of the minis and getting all the trailers and stuff ready to go. So it's been crazy trying to get things set up for this race season. They're currently down at Roebling with 3 cars on track, so we're pretty busy there. So during the week it's pretty tough for me to get over there and continue racing for that series, but wanted to focus with the Weekend Warriors group a little bit more this season. Seems like there's a little bit higher peak talent in the Weekend Warriors group, and it's been a really good challenge for me to get where I need to be as a better driver for not only on-track positioning, but also racing against somebody who's a lot more aggressive with less and less mistakes.
Yeah, definitely seems like that you've had a you really jumped in and kind of taken the Spec 2 class by the horns this season. So congratulations, and we'll look to see you in the next race in the Spec Racers.
Yep, sounds good. See you there.
All right.
Trenton Kramer, and as Charles alluded to, we'll be back in about 15 minutes time here on the channel for the usual Weekend Warriors doubleheader, part 2 in the form of the SRFs back from Laguna Seca as part of this double header. But for now, for the Formula Fords, I've been Tim Cox with Charles Bashal and Samir Kumalo. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you in a week's time for the championship finale. Will be live from Sonoma. See you then.